I borderline want to say I'm here with my garage, but I don't own a garage. Uh, yes, one step at a time. The motto here is that life is not complicated. But is it really true? Is life not complicated? Well, the things to be successful are simple. It is simple. Doing them, it's a whole different story. I remember there was this motivational speaker. Not motivational speaker. It was more towards, I would say, this owner of this company that talked about this concept that I found to be very interesting, and he called it wood versus code. Um, like when you talk about potential, there's all these things that you could potentially do, or I could be this, I could be that, I could be the other. But would you? Would you take those steps? Would you take those daily steps, that tedious stuff that requires daily effort to become that? So that becomes, this is the potential, and then this is the action that you're willing to take. And if there is a mismatch, you cannot do it. And it is hard, but it's not hard in the sense of the steps themselves are hard. Is that you have to decide, you have to make a decision. Will you do it? And if you're not going to do it, then cut your losses and focus on the things that really matter to you. It's not the easiest things to do, but it is simple. That in itself makes life not complicated, because life is always a series of decisions. And I can say for myself, I've not always made the best decisions. I haven't. And if I did, we'll be in a different place, in a different space. Maybe I will be able to show different things and have a different outlook on life. But me just stopping there, letting that hold me back, is not gonna change anything. I have to take the steps I can take right now to start to make a difference somehow in my own life, and achieve my goals, which I want to be able to positively influence people and show them that you're able to make a difference in your own life if you take things not seriously per se, but if you take charge. There is this great book, um, marvelous book. It's called Six Pillars of Self-Esteem. I mean, at the moment, I don't have it right next to me. I don't have the full title, but I think if you Google it, you'll be able to find it. And it just talks about the six concepts that it talks about is living consciously, self-acceptance, self-responsibility, self-assertiveness, living purposefully, and then integrity. Yeah. So conscious, if you're not living consciously, you cannot see where your life is going wrong. When things are hard, sometimes you just want to not deal with it. You don't want to see it. So then that puts you away from where you're actually supposed to tackle, and that creates anxiety. That creates a whole lot of problems. If you're not accepting of your past mistakes and the things you've done wrong, you're stuck in a loop. You're stuck in this circle where you keep, every time you do something right, your mind goes, oh, you should have done this before. You should have achieved better before. You should be at this point right now. That is not helping you. The mind is kind of stuck either in the past or in the future. The present doesn't exist. And the present is where you make change, where you take action. Then self responsibility is basically you taking charge of your life. You have to be responsible, response able. You're able to generate the response you want. There's another book that talks specifically about this concept at the moment. Like the exact title is not coming to mind, but it's very great book. I'll think about it later. Maybe it'll come, and I'll put it in the descriptions the name of the books I'm talking about. Then self assertiveness, you gotta be able to stand up for yourself, for what you believe in, assert quote unquote your boundaries. But boundaries is not so much rules for others, more rules for yourself. Because you're not able to assert boundaries for others if those boundaries are not for you. So is boundaries is not behavior you won't tolerate for others per se, it's behavior that you won't tolerate from yourself, and that comes out as a boundary. um, then living purposefully is like, what is it that you want out of life? How can you achieve something that you have not defined if you haven't sat down and asked yourself, how do you want your relationships to look like? How do you want your lifestyle to look like? And then really drill it down. Really drill it down. It's like, let's say, that maybe you want to live a lavish lifestyle. Maybe you want to live a more modest lifestyle. But if you don't sit down and drill it down, you won't be able to achieve it. And be really pragmatic with it. It's like, how much money would I need to make? What kind of relationship do I want? How much do I want to work? So per se, do I want to be? Maybe you have to be more minimal. If you maybe you want to be in nature more, just decide. If you don't decide, you cannot achieve it. And then integrity. Yeah, integrity. And that's basically doing what you're gonna say you do, keeping your word to yourself. Because again, this is a concept coming out of the blue, but I remember there was this another guy talking about this concept of incremental integrity, and that's the integrity you build with yourself as you're acting on the things you say you do. Because I don't know, I mean, with me, my main problem was, and it still is, it's like everything is a work in progress, is that my mind does not trust, I don't trust myself. Because in the past, I have a negative track record of not doing the things I said I would do. So my own, and that affects your own self-esteem, your own self-concept of yourself, because you have not kept your word to yourself. It can be something small. I will go to the gym today, and you don't go. Are you gonna trust your word next time? You say you would do it, you didn't do it. So what's different now? But at the same time, if you have failed yourself in the past, you have to forgive yourself to be able to move forward. Otherwise, you're stuck. And if you're stuck, you cannot make any changes if you do not decide to actively make them. And it's one step at a time. There's nothing else that you can do to change the past, but you can sit down in the present, in the moment, and decide what your future is going to be. You can. And sometimes the steps are tiny. What if it takes 2 years, 3 years, 4 years, 5 years? Who knows how long it's gonna take? But the pleasure itself is in it's not getting there. Is the steps you're taking to get there. It's basically the journey. You have to enjoy the journey because you're gonna fail regardless. Like what? Okay, that sounds bleak. That sounds bleak. What I meant by you're gonna fail regardless is that you're not gonna get everything right to achieve it. It's not gonna be a straight line. If you look at, let's say this is life, and this is meeting your goal over the period of time. Is not the graph is not gonna be this. It's gonna be you're going up, you're getting closer, you fail, you back step, you go up, back step. Maybe you get here and you learn that to get where you want it to be, you actually have to go back and look at things differently and then restart. Sometimes it can be that way, and that's fine. If it was easy, everybody would do it. Everybody would. But just because it's not easy doesn't mean it cannot be simple. It's life itself and what you want out of life doesn't have to be complicated. You have to just decision is just being active with it. It's making that choice and sticking by it. And you can always review things. How and you need to have smart goals. It has to be specific, measurable, achievable, realistic, and timely. If you do not have a time frame, how can you see your progress? And if you don't have a specific goal, you cannot see the progress you're making. And then break it down. And from there, you can only try your best to do the things that you know will get you there. And if you do not have the knowledge, acquire more knowledge. Who knows what you don't, like, you don't know who knows it, so just try and find out a bit more. At least that's what my plan would be, and that's what my plan is. Try to acquire more knowledge to get where I want to get. It's one step at a time. So, okay, this is all I wanted to talk about for today. And remember, I know it's not easy, but life is not complicated. Uh, Take it one step at a time, and let's get together to our goals and become the best version of ourselves.